Hi, my question is, how is your relationship with members from different political parties? And do you find that partisanship is the driving force for how you're treated?
It's a great question. So I have really good relationships with members on both sides. There are members who I am very close with who are Republicans, very close with Democrats. There are members who can't stand me who are Democrats and who can't stand me who are Republicans. So I am.
You want to give us a list?
Yeah, look, if you just want to talk about the leadership, I am. Kevin McCarthy and I, we sparred a lot in press conferences, but we had a very positive relationship. And I think that, Nancy Pelosi and I, we sparred a lot. She got very angry with me a lot of times, and she stayed angry at me for a very long time, but she eventually got over it. There were, the late John McCain. We had a great relationship for many years. He got really mad at me for some story I did, would not talk to me for maybe 2 years. And then one day he decided he was fine. And then we were old pals, and we interviewed him dozens of times. I rode around with him in Arizona. We had lots of big interviews and stuff. So, people are people, right? So sometimes people get upset about stuff you do because these are thin-skinned individuals. Some of them are thick-skinned. Some of them are thin-skinned, and they'll just remember stuff. Someone was mad at me about some story I did like 12 years ago. They said oh, something you wrote in one line at the bottom of a story. He's a former senator. It's Ben Sass. I'll say his name. Okay, so he was mad. Dude, that was 7 years ago. It's one line at the bottom of my story. Okay, he's former senator. Now he's the president of the University of Florida. Whatever. So they can get mad at me. I don't. That's fine. My job, what I try to do to try to maintain good relationships, is to be totally honest about what I'm reporting. That goes a long way. I tell a lot of young reporters, sometimes if you're writing a negative story about someone, they'll may not be direct about what they're writing to that person. So if I'm writing a negative story about you, I need to go to you before my story is published, well before, maybe at least a day, 24 hours, tell you exactly what I'm going to report and give you the opportunity to respond. Okay, and then you can give me a response, you can yell at me, whatever. Let's have that fight before I publish it. And then I listen to you, you give me your comment or your context, whatever, and I have to listen to it with an open mind and now frame my story. Maybe what you're saying to me is a bunch of BS, but maybe what you're telling me is totally true and it forces me to change or even kill my story. I have to come with you with an open mind on that. That goes a long way in preserving relationships, because even if my story is negative about you, you'll be like, well, he treated me fairly. That's at the end of the day, all I want to do is be people to think that I am treating them fairly. And whether it's a story I'm doing or my questions, I want my questions, I can ask tough questions, but they can be tough but fair questions. So nothing total, that has to be part of the frame. Now, in terms of some people may treat you a little bit differently from their political persuasion, I think there are some people who are like that, but I think that's a small fraction. There was maybe some more, I would say that there's not nearly as many. So it's just the personality in the person more than anything on how they treat you.